Donald Trump, in his July 4th speech at Mount Rushmore, suggested the idea of an American Garden of Heroes, and he listed a list of great Americans, and I'm firmly behind the idea. As long as Antifa is continuing to destroy our heritage, our statues of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson,
Frederick Douglass,
a slave who advocated for liberty, because liberty is the last thing that they want, freedom of thought, freedom of speech, etc., etc. I am firmly behind Donald Trump's idea, so I thought that I would give you my own list of Garden of Heroes, great American people that we collectively can look up to. And there is a commonality between them. I'm going to be discussing that. First of all, let's talk about the garden, who it's going to consist of. It's a relatively short list, so stay with me for the entire video and make sure to leave a comment as to whether or not you agree or who else you would include, because I'm very curious who your heroes are and why. Leading off is second baseman Jackie Robinson of the Brooklyn Dodgers, who broke baseball's color barrier. When Branch Rickey, the general manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers at the time, hired Robinson and signed him, he asked Jackie whether or not he would be able to turn the other cheek to racial sloganeering, to hatred. And Jackie says, what, you want to hire somebody who's too scared to fight back? And Branch Rickey says, no, I'm looking for somebody who's brave enough not to fight back. And Jackie agreed and was the first black player in Major League Baseball. Robinson was one of the great sledgehammers against the wall of racism. The man was brave and demonstrated the possibilities that existed for many people. And he stood firm in the face of hatred. And to top it off, he's a Hall of Famer and a career .311 hitter. So next up on the list, you've got Martin Luther King Jr. This man of soaring oration has done more to unite the Union. Martin Luther King truly managed to overcome great evil and hatred with his message of unity.
Because I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
King was one of the greatest orators in history, if not the greatest. His soaring voice and ethos continues to ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia to the Colorado Rockies to the Sierra Nevadas of California, across our nation. Dr. King's voice continues to resonate, and I wish to amplify it despite what the radical left is trying to do regarding race relations in our country. Next up, Tony Robbins. Tony has helped to turn around more lives than virtually anybody in the world, including many people who've never seen him in person. They listen to his tapes. They get guidance from him. He's, without a doubt, helped make the world a better and more united place, and his distinctions in persuasion and neurolinguistic programming have helped influence countless numbers of people. I personally was at his event in 2001 in Hawaii during 9/11, and I witnessed him in person help manage the emotions of thousands of people that were grieving, that were angry, some were excited.
As I'm sure you know by now, early this morning, our time, there was a terrorist attack in New York and in Washington, D.C.
He, on stage, brought up a Pakistani man who was actually in favor of Al-Qaeda and stated that it was a form of retribution for all the wrong that the United States had done.
My first reaction was, as a Muslim, hey, this is retribution.
And also brought on stage a New York Jew who would have otherwise been very near the towers or possibly in them at the time of the attack.
There are people in the world today, right this moment, who are celebrating at their success of pulling off an amazing logistical nightmare.
Muslims feel, hey, listen, you came into my home, took, my home, and you kicked me out.
Neither I nor anybody I know was ever raised with the concept of being a suicide bomber.
and then you give back like a little bathroom to me, and I'm supposed to celebrate, and when I'm not celebrating, you come and kick my ass?
And manage to unite them under the slogan of passion and action for peace.
A real warrior, not a thug who calls himself a warrior so he can feel better about himself. A thug is out just to create violence. Do it again.
And it's all here in your heart too. So if you kill, you're killing a part of yourself.
This is the ability of this man to influence other people and to unite them, in addition to the countless numbers of people that he has helped, from being with them in person, in his audience, or just his tapes. And I highly recommend Tony Robbins as a force of good, and therefore this 6'7" man is definitely towering over my garden of heroes. Next up, Elon Tesla Musk. That's his middle name, as far as I know. Few people have ever had the vision that Elon Musk has, with his alien-like intelligence, capable of dreaming up things and finding reasons to accomplish them, rather than the perennial no that most people have. He not only has the vision, but has the ability to turn them into reality. Because of him, we have battery-powered cars that are freaking awesome. And if you haven't test drove a Tesla, I highly suggest you do it. When you hit the acceleration, woo, that thing just takes off. It is such a pleasure to drive, and I'm not somebody who enjoys generally driving cars. We have increased capacity for solar energy with Solar City, his company. Also, we have rooftops that are just going to become entirely solar, in terms of the fact that the roof is just being changed into solar panels. He is a visionary with the guts to stand behind his dreams. Most people would have just taken the money that he made from PayPal, banked it, and lived an absolutely incredible, affluent life. But he decided to take that money and double it down on Tesla and on SpaceX.
And then just work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in 80 to 100-hour weeks every week.
And with that, we go to space for a fraction of the cost of what it used to. More satellites have been installed. He has demonstrated to us what is possible. All you have to do is act on it and have a 3,000 IQ, as he does. Nevertheless, Elon Musk, the South African turned American, is definitely in my garden of heroes. Next up is Ben Shapiro of the Daily Wire. He is a fast-talking conservative who slays the dragon of leftism every time he's faced with her fiery breath. Intellectually, he is a total stud, always prepared and leading the charge against the regressive left. I absolutely admire his quickness of mind and mental dexterity.
You've kind of been a bully on this issue, because what you do, and I've seen it repeatedly on your show, I watch your show, and I've seen it repeatedly, what you tend to do is you tend to demonize people who differ from you politically by standing on the graves of the children of Sandy Hook, saying they don't seem to care enough about the dead kids. If they cared more about the dead kids, they would agree with you on policy. I think we can have a rational political conversation about balancing rights and risks and rewards of all of these different policies, but I don't think that what we need to do is demonize people on the other side as being unfeeling about what happened in Sandy Hook.
How dare you accuse me of standing on the graves of the children that died there? How dare you?
I've seen you do it repeatedly, Piers.
Like I say, how dare you?
Well, I mean, you can keep saying that, but you've done it repeatedly. What you do, and I've seen you do it on the program, is you keep saying to folks that if they disagree with you politically, then somehow this is a violation of what happened in Sandy Hook. And you have yet, I'd really like to hear your policy prescriptions for what we should do about guns.
I don't ever want to get into a debate with Ben Shapiro. His points are so well stated, so poignant, and always directly in the bullseye. Ben Shapiro, you are the shortest of our statues in the Garden of Heroes, not for lack of intellectual ability, but just because you're not Tony Robbins and 6'7". And the last man that I'm going to put in my American Garden of Heroes, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. Okay, many of you guys are immediately going to point out the fact that Jordan is Canadian by citizenship. Okay. What you don't know, and this is something that is not widely acknowledged, Canada is merely a large province of the United States. As I tell my wife, who's also a Canuck, the proper term for Canada is America Junior. So by default, Dr. Peterson is an American, and we claim him as such. If we want to import one thing from Canada aside of hockey, which I don't understand, but it is Jordan B. Peterson.
That so many people are writing and saying the same thing. It's like, well, I have a purpose, man. My life actually matters. I finally realized that, and I'm putting it into practice, and I'm bearing up under the heaviest load I can imagine, and it's really helping. It's like, God. And that's tens of thousands of responses now. So it's you couldn't hope for anything better than that. There's zero harm in it, right? It's just people putting their lives together. They're not mucking about with other people. They're not trying to make broad-scale social transformations about which they have no idea. They're trying to make their immediate environment better. And it's working. It's like, great. It's great.
His book, 12 Rules for Life, has moved many, many, many men away from the alt-right and helped get their life together. His principles are simple, but they are sound, and they are age-old, and his ability to debate might be second only to Ben Shapiro. I believe that Jordan Peterson is so eloquent, so well prepared, and knows his material, and he will go into any contest with somebody and be able to make salient points that strike at whatever dogma the other side might be bringing in. He's also able to keep his cool under tremendous pressure, where other people, including me, would have lost it, as exhibited in his interview with...
Gotcha.
You have got me. I'm trying to work that through in my head. Yeah, it took a while.
He is absolutely exemplary, and I hope we see him on the public debate stage again as soon as possible. So this is my garden of heroes. Feel free to venture and gaze in admiration at the statues. So what do all these people have in common? Each and every single one of them are risk takers and willing to take chances that other people won't. I would consider each and every one of them incredibly brave. And all of them have paved the way for the rest of us, making the world a little bit better. We still can state our views affirmatively in a manner that is meant to sway other people in a calm and rational way. But these men are willing to stick up for what they believe is right, and we should too. We should strive to make everybody's day just a little bit better. And with that, it has a ripple effect throughout society.
They're hesitant about whether or not to share the good news about their life, and I think it's often because when people share good news about their life, people don't necessarily respond positively. They don't get encouragement. And people need so little encouragement. It's just unbelievable. And so they'll tell me something good, and I think, oh, that's so good. Somebody says, oh, I'm getting along way better with my father. I hadn't seen him for 10 years, and now we get along. It's like, God, great. And then the power of that, you can't overstate the power of that for individuals to get their life together. The individual is an unbelievably powerful force, and every single person who gets their act together a little bit has the capacity to spread that around them. It's a chain reaction, and so it's a lovely thing to see. And
that's fantastic.
And we need to be able to model that on an individual basis. So when we encounter somebody, let's just leave them just a little bit better off than when we found them. Whether that's a smile, whether that's a laugh, whether that's mutual understanding. Because what's happening right now in the political world is the fact that we are at odds with one another to such a great degree that the middle, as I continually say, the bell-shaped political curve where most people in the middle is being carved out. And we need to bring back some understanding between people. So if you want to be Tony Robbins and you want to be able to influence the crowd, as I described during the post 9/11 event, you can bring people together. And as you walk through the Garden of Heroes, just remember that that power is fully in you as well. And we are all capable of doing this to some degree, but it has to be a conscious effort to evoke this, not only inside of us, but as we do so inside of us, as we bring up the good and we unite people, we will trigger other people to feel the same way. And that is how we come back together rather than the polarization that currently exists. Martin Luther King did it. Tony Robbins is able to do it. Jordan Peterson is able to do it. Why can't you? You are also a hero because that is what's within you. It is just a matter of being able to bring it up, to bring this part of us up and allow it to propagate forward. If you guys like this content, subscribe and share this with a friend. I hope that you're a little bit energized from this, that you just go out and just make one person's life just a little bit better today. Peace and blessings to everybody out there. Share this material, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Peace out. Have a fantastic day. Hope I've left you just a little bit better off than when you arrived.